Hello, wrestling fans. Blake Smith from Walking the Ropes, and welcome to another episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review for AEW Fyter Fest Night 3, Week 1, Night 1, or Week 2, Night 1, however you want to say it, from Atlanta, Georgia. To open the show, we had Darby Allin versus Brody King. Darby tries to get the jump on Brody, but Brody just overpowers him and starts to beat down the far smaller man. Darby tries to fight back and fly off the top rope, but Brody stands there and Darby just bounces off of him. Brody just starts to dominate this match. He is taking his time, and Darby resorts to using his own belt to tie Brody's feet together and pulls him outside and hits the cannonball to the outside. Darby's trying to keep the pressure on and tries to keep fighting, but Brody slams him down into the corner. Darby's trying to use whatever he can, and then Brody hangs Darby again, like in the Battle Royal. Just when it looks like he was going to be counted out, he makes it in at 9, and then Brody hits the Gonzo Bomb and gets the win. After the match, Brody puts the sleeper in again, and Sting comes out. Brody then tries to get the edge on Sting. He goes for the death drop, but the lights go out, and Malachi Black and Sting stand toe to toe until Brody ends up coming in with the sleeper, and Black is able to spit the mist into his eyes. Miro makes his way out, and it's a little confusing. He comes to the stage, he stands there in his mist-colored lenses on his sunglasses, and Black is just grinning as Miro stands there. My WTR scale, I gave this segment a great, and for my performer of the match, I gave it to Darby Allin. He absolutely killed it. Cole Carter talks about his match tonight, but is cut off by Team Taz. Ricky says he stands no chance at winning the FTW title, and Cole says his future will be like his past, and he will beat Ricky for the FTW title. And for my WTR scale, I gave that an okay. We then get the best friends taking on Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta. They are taking on their former protege, and it's nothing like how they trained him. He's tougher and more hungry than ever. The Pure Champ teams up with the AEW Interim World Champ, and I think the best friends may have just a little too much to handle. Orange and Regal join commentary, and Moxley starts out against Trent. They wrestle for control, and Yuta comes in and calls for his former mentor, Chuck Taylor. They go back and forth, and Trent eventually gets pissed and tags himself in, and he and Yuta start to brawl. Yuta tries to fight off both men at once, but he can't as they double team him, and Moxley wants in badly. He gets his wish, he comes in and clears house, hitting a big cutter from mid-air, and then stomping on Trent and tagging in Yuta for a double team move stopped by Chuck. Garcia is shown watching, and for a sports entertainer, he forgot how to watch a TV. He was watching it like how a human would watch it. Yuta and Trent brawl, and Moxley makes the save, and Chuck beats down Yuta, and Moxley then locks in a figure 4 on the outside. And Yuta wins with the seatbelt pin, and Orange kind of gets pissed and says Chuck taught him that move and leaves commentary. For my WTR scale, I gave this a great, and for my performer of the match, I gave it to Wheeler Yuta. He is just fantastic. Swerve and Our Glory celebrate their championship win. They come out and they have champagne and cake and all the great stuff. They want to thank everyone in the audience, says that they are here because of them and now look to do so much better and reach to the top. They propose a toast, stay on top, I guess. Tony and Mark Sterling come out. They say that they are lucky. Lee is lucky Swerve didn't stab him in the back. And Mark says he has tons of signatures and now wants Swerve's friends and rapper Kevin Gates, who's at ringside. He says no, and then Mark gets right in his face, and Kevin doesn't like that. He comes out and he sucker punches Tony Nese in the face, and then Swerve tosses the cake right into Mark's face. My WTR scale, I gave that segment a good. John Silver and Alex Reynolds talk to the Butcher and the Blade, and the Butcher is John's favorite wrestler, apparently. The Butcher and the Blade don't like how they're being talked to, so they beat down Alex and John, and Hangman comes in running with a chair to save them. My WTR scale, I gave that a good. We then get Christian Cage and Luchasaurus versus the Varsity Blondes. Cage and Luchasaurus make their tag team debut, and they look to dominate. Luchasaurus has turned to a whole new level, and it is amazing. The Blondes look to get revenge for Jungle Boy and for getting beaten down last week. Cage looks like he will start out, but tags in Luchasaurus, and he headbutts Brian and then tosses him to Griff to tag in. Griff comes in, and he probably wishes he didn't. He gets stunned with a couple shots. And then listening to Cage, Luchasaurus choke slams both men, and Cage comes in and gets the pin. They mock the Jurassic Express pose with Cage on Luchasaurus' shoulders. And Jungle Boy's music hits, and he comes down with a chair in hand. He stands right in Luchasaurus' face. But Luchasaurus steps to the side and allows Jungle Boy to run after Cage. For my WTR scale, I gave that a great, and for my standout performer this segment, I gave to, or for this match, I gave to Luchasaurus. I can't wait to see where this is going. The Guns explain why they declined the match last week, and it's because they carried the Acclaimed, and instead, on Rampage, Austin wants to rap battle with Max Caster to decide the rules of said match so they can just be done with it, I guess. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good. Taz is running down the history of the FTW championship as Ricky Starks looks to defend against Cole Carter. Cole takes control of the match and starts sending Starks outside. They brawl and go back and forth, and Cole eventually comes back with a big knee and starts to roll, hitting a big cutter, and goes for the 450 but misses. And Ricky hits a spear and gets the win. He says he feels good and he wants another challenger. And Danhausen comes out and accepts. Ricky says he didn't mean right now. He meant next week on Dynamite. My WTR scale, I gave that a good. I was a little disappointed that Ricky didn't try to defend it. I really hope Danhausen pulls out the win and steals that belt. I want to see Ricky lose that title so badly. For my standout performer, I gave it to Ricky Starks. He is still very talented. Ricky, he's just on my head for whatever reason. Chris, Athena, and Willow talk about their upcoming match and how Chris is not allowed to be in the match or at ringside. Athena says Chris will look good with the world title and Athena would look great with the TBS title. I hope that that's in the future. Willow says not to worry because she and Athena have their match tonight. For my WTR scale, I gave that an okay. We hear from FTR ahead of their 2 out of 3 falls match. They make their way to the ring and they are showered in love from the fans. They look really ready to defend. They talk about how they've been on a crazy run and how Supercard of Honor was a war. And they look to repeat that war again on Saturday. They give respect to the Briscoes and say they're not going to die. Dax then tells the story of his daughter and how she fought having a hole in her heart, and now if she can fight, he can fight too. Says he will fight like an 8-year-old girl and he will beat their ass. For my WTR scale, I gave that a grade. Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt talk about Jay's match on Saturday. Jay says Joe doesn't show up for work, so he already would be the champion. Christopher Daniels comes in and says Joe doesn't need to waste his time on Jay. He will kick his ass on Saturday, and I believe they also say Daniels challenges Lethal to a match on Rampage. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good. Chris Statlander, Athena, and Willow Nightingale versus Jade Cargill, Kiera Hogan, and Layla Gray was the planned match, but we removed Chris Statlander and Layla Gray because Layla Gray was not cleared. Jade talks about how she's in her hometown and says she will remain undefeated because she's that bitch. Athena starts out against Jade, and Jade tags out right away to Kiera Hogan. The back and forth action goes hard, and Willow eventually dives to the outside and takes out both of their opponents, and Athena follows. Jade comes in and takes control, starting to hit her basketball elbow things, and then it's slamming Athena down for a near fall. Willow gets tagged in, and she takes control of Hogan. Jade and Athena brawl on in the ring, and Jade hits a big kick, and Athena answers with one of her own. They continue the back and forth action and spill outside, where Stokely distracts Athena, and Jade kicks her right into the steps, and she tags herself in, slams Willow down, and then hits Jaded for the win. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good, and my standout performer goes to Willow Nightingale. Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa talk backstage, and Rosa says she's excited for her upcoming defense next week against the New Japan, or I guess it's not New Japan, the Stardom girl. Britt comes in and says Jamie and her want a match against Thunderstorm on Rampage, and I believe we're getting that. For my WTR scale, I gave that an okay. We then get our main event of the evening, the Barbed Wire Everywhere match, Eddie Kingston versus the Painmaker Chris Jericho. The ring is surrounded in barbed wire, and it looks like we are going to see an absolute bloodbath. The JAS get locked up in their cage and do not look happy about it. Eddie looks like he's actually ready to kill someone with a smile on his face and starts to gouge Jericho's face with the barbed wire wrapped mic. Jericho's bleeding already, and Kingston looks excited. Jericho starts to fight back as they brawl on the outside, and Kingston tosses Jericho around the ring into the barbed wire. But he's slowly taking off his shirt, so he is exposing more skin, and I'm not sure that's a good idea. It's absolute madness as they're both bleeding now. Jericho locks in the walls of Jericho on the barbed wire, and I can feel just no. Everything has barbed wire. Eddie had to be helped out of the barbed wire because his back was stuck. They're on the apron, and Eddie suplexes Jericho through the barbed wire table on the outside, and Ty Conti jumps in and jumps Ruby because she wasn't in the cage, and stopped by Anna Jay, only for Anna to turn on Ruby and lower the cage down for the JAS. They rush the ring and beat down Kingston. The Blackpool Combat Club and Ortiz come out to save the day, and Ortiz hits Jericho with the Mad Ball. Jericho comes back and tries to line salt Eddie with the barbed wire chair, but Eddie tosses it at him. He wraps Jericho in barbed wire, and Sammy comes in and makes the save. Jericho hits the Judas effect and gets the win. They set up to destroy Kingston one last time, but Kingston stops them and tosses Jericho into the barbed wire spider web on the outside, and I think Eddie gets the last laugh. Right, WTR scale, I gave that a great, and for my standout performer, it goes to Eddie Kingston. That was a fantastic set of, that was just a brutal match to watch. And my overall for the show, I give it a great. That was just a well-done show. My segment of the night goes to the Luchasaurus match because I'm so excited to see where that's going. My match of the night goes to the Barbed Wire Everywhere match, obviously, and my performer of the night goes to Eddie Kingston. The guy literally had to be peeled out of barbed wire. And that is all for this episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review. Thank you all for dropping in. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload a video. And I'll see you in the next one.